Welcome to the MVP Show. Today we are joined with one of the few prominent women in the world of power apps and flow. Today's guest is April Dunnam, owner of Thrive Fast in Tulsa, Oklahoma, process automation princess, SharePoint siren, and karaoke queen. Now isn't that an amazing combo? Full show notes, please visit nz365guy.com/100. Now let's get on with the show. Hi April, welcome to the MVP Show.
Hi Mark.
Well, it's good to have you on here. Another female MVP, which we're always excited to have our ranks become more balanced across the genders. So good to have you on the show. How's your day going so far?
Pretty good. How about you?
Awesome. Going well. Good to be in nice sunny London. It's amazing weather. So tell me about Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've never been there. What's it famous for?
That's a good question. Well, it's the second largest city here in Oklahoma. So I kind of born and raised here. We have the famous Golden Driller, huge construction worker statue. So we're a big oil and gas town. A lot of rich Native American history here as well.
Okay, and I hear it's famous for its architecture. Is that right? Very Art Deco?
Yeah, the Art Deco. So kind of in the downtown area, there's a lot of famous Art Deco. They do tours and everything. So it is pretty unique and cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And tell me about the foodie scene. Is there one? And is there anything unique to Oklahoma?
Yeah, we're trying, almost getting an Austin type vibe, right? Where we get like a lot of food trucks coming in and, kind of a lot of unique, mixture of different, foods here. So, got some pretty nice pubs and, lots of ethnic foods like popping up now. We just got like an Ethiopian restaurant, which is pretty unique. So yeah, lots of interesting stuff. It's a cool little town. It's like I like to call it a mini Austin, I think. It's really growing and booming actually.
So Austin is right, as in, forgive my geography, but Austin is right next to, your state is right next to Texas. Is that right?
It's right above Texas. Yep.
And so you talked about oil. Is it known for anything else industry-wise?
It's a good question. I mean, oil and gas is, obviously the biggest one here. And, with the tribes and everything, there's, lots of casinos and stuff too. As far as
So tell me, what do you do in the Microsoft Business Applications arena?
Yeah, so my focus is on both Power Apps and Flow. So I've kind of used both of those tools since they came out. I come from a SharePoint development background. So that's kind of what I started out doing. And so obviously use SharePoint Designer workflows and InfoPath, which Power Apps and Flow were the successor. So as soon as they came out, I got my hands on those.
Okay, so has Flow pretty much replaced the former workflow tools that were in SharePoint?
I think so. I think now, when it first came out, not quite, but now I can confidently say yes. I think can do anything that SharePoint Designer could do, and obviously much more.
Wow. And so I take it back in the day you would have been a fan of InfoPath?
No, fan would be that would be a stretch. It was just kind of by design, like necessity that I had to do that because where I worked used it heavily before I got there. So and then I became a consultant, and everyone wanted InfoPath forms at the time because it was just the easiest way to develop forms. So I mean, I guess I would say a love-hate relationship.
Nice. So do you think now that with what you can do with Power Apps and Flow that you could replace any old InfoPath form?
The only thing that I ran into where I couldn't replace an InfoPath form is because the customer absolutely needed to print. Still that kind of old school print mindset for whatever reason. But yeah, other than that, I've been able to replace it and, improve their forms and processes with Power Apps and Flow.
Okay. So I'm learning something here. So are you saying within Power Apps that we have at the moment, there's no kind of native functionality that would allow you to format up and print out a nice, document?
Right, not native. You have to do workarounds like writing it out to an HTML table using Flow and, print it that way. There's no native, just like an InfoPath or, a print button. Yeah.
Okay. So do you see any kind of anything on the horizon from Microsoft to address this, or do you think that really it's enough with what you can do now with workarounds that it's not ever going to really be needed?
No, I think they're going to address it. I saw on User Voice it's been raised up. They're saying that they're working on it on User Voice, and I think they've even sent out a survey a little while back asking, okay, you want printing? What exactly do you want to do printing wise? So they're looking for feedback. So it looks like we're going to get that eventually, best I can tell.
Okay. And so, in your feedback on that whole printing area, what's the main things that you're needing?
Just nothing fancy, just a basic, almost like print page functionality, just with all the other junk stripped out. It doesn't need to be anything too crazy. It's just, a lot of these companies, just from, regulations stuff, they have to have physical copies of stuff. So, I mean, it is, a big gap I see as far as that goes right now. Yeah.
Okay, so interesting. So at MVP Summit, I saw that you're in the Microsoft Biz App sessions, and I suppose there might have been some, I don't know, was there a culture shock for you if that was your first MVP Summit? What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, it was my first summit, so it was just crazy the sheer amount of people and just from all different backgrounds and countries. And yeah, and then, just meeting all these, like, I've kind of in my little Power Apps and Flow world and meeting all the Dynamics people and, just learning about the dynamic side of stuff, which I'm a little, not just now kind of getting into. So yeah, it was definitely a shock.
Yeah, so that's interesting because Power Apps has come on an interesting journey, and there's the difference between the model driven development, which has kind of a heritage in the Dynamics world, and then of course the Canvas apps, which has more of a heritage in the SharePoint world, perhaps with Office 365. How would you say? Are you concerned, or how do you think about the model driven side of things where your backend main data set, correct me if I'm wrong, would be SharePoint lists? Is that right? So
Yeah, typically our Azure SQL is kind of when I build my apps with one of the two.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you still building a lot of apps that are directly connected into Azure SQL?
Yeah, I'd probably say about 70% of the apps I build are actually Azure SQL, and then the rest are SharePoint. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you see, Common Data Service playing into the future of what you're doing?
I can, you can obviously tell there's a big push to use CDS, and I think it's a great tool. I just haven't, it's a lot of the clients I work with are small to mid sector businesses. So kind of and then they're already using SharePoint often. So, a lot of their data is already in SharePoint or maybe Azure SQL. So just the justification to go there right now, I just haven't had a good use case to use CDS, but I can tell that, that's kind of where things are going, for sure.
So you're one of our MVPs that is also a business owner, is that right?
Yes, I have my own business. I've been doing this for about 6 years, called Thrive Fast. So we do IT consulting. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us a bit about that company size, kind of who your target market is, and how you decided to, start a business.
Yeah, so I was working at another company here in town, and someone came in to help work on a project, and he kind of had a side business, and he asked if I wanted to do a little, help after hours on some stuff, so I did, and eventually he was needed some help full time, and just kind of asked, so do you want to keep working for corporate, or, would you want to be an entrepreneur and kind of be my business partner? So I'm like, yeah. And I've always, wanted to be an entrepreneur. I built my first computer when I was 10. I started building websites at 13 and making money on the side. Just, hey, anyone need a website? I can, I can do that for you. So I had my own little I licensed a business when I was 16 and kind of did that for a little bit. And that's kind of how I paid my way through college. So I knew I wanted to do that, but I, went to work for corporate America after that so I could help pay the, the college bills. So yeah, I just kind of seized the opportunity at that point, and I became his business partner and been going with it ever since. So we're about, we're still small. We're about 3 full-time people, and we have some consultants, but we've been doing great. Obviously focused on custom development, SharePoint, Power Apps, Flow, and it's for small to mid-sector businesses, all over the U.S. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so tell me, what's your number one tip for picking up customers for a business like yours?
For us, it's really just been word of mouth. If you do a good job and you treat your customers right and you know your product, people will evangelize that automatically for you, and you don't really have to do a lot of marketing or anything like that. And that's honestly what it's been like for us.
So I see that you've got a bunch of titles. One is the Automation Princess. Another one is the SharePoint Siren. And I don't really know. What is a siren?
Siren goes back to Greek mythology. So you'd have the sailors out there, and you'd have these sirens are almost like mermaid-like creatures, like the Starbucks siren, right? And so they would reel in the sailors from the sea with their sweet songs, and then
Okay, so I take it that leads us into the karaoke queen then.
Yeah, yes, I've love karaoke. I've always loved to sing, was in choir and all that, and just a big karaoke person. I'm in a kind of quasi band, joined the School of Rock, like the movie. Yeah, so yeah, and then sing karaoke. Just always been a passion of mine.
So does this mean that at one of the next kind of events, whether it be MVP Summit or even any of the user group summits, are we going to see a bit of a sing off between you and Sheila and a couple of who else is there's a couple of guys as well that
Oh
love
yeah,
their
there's a
singing.
ton. I can't even keep track. There's so much, musicianship within the MVP community. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, no, that would be cool. I was joking with someone at the summit that we should start an MVP band. They,
It's interesting because years ago when I became an MVP, as in it was even back then there were people involved in music bands, things like that. So it does seem to be a common theme over the years.
yeah, it makes sense. It really activates your brain. Music does, and I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with technology and music, if you ask me.
What else do you do for extracurricular activities outside of singing? What do you get up to?
Well, going in the music realm, I like going to concerts a lot. Just a huge music fan in general. And I like to Netflix and chill. Lots of different shows that I I like watching and movies. Big Game of Thrones
Oh yeah.
fan. Yeah.
I'm with you on the Game of Thrones. Very exciting. I got a week behind, but I mean this episode won't come out for a few weeks, and it'll probably be all over then. But yeah, it's exciting. I'm looking. Did you see last night's episode?
I did. No spoilers. So I'll just say,
Yeah,
yeah.
don't tell me because I haven't watched it yet. So it's and I'm not going to get a chance tonight. So it'll be tomorrow night before I get to sit down to it. Okay, so you're into your movies, and tell me about your journey to becoming an MVP. How did it come about?
Yeah, I think, I became an MVP in November of 2018. And I think I was nominated for a couple years back before that, and kind of, that seemed to fizzle out. So I just kind of kept doing my thing, working my blog, speaking at more events. I kind of started locally here, speaking at some of the user groups. I had ran a SharePoint user group, and now the Power Apps and Flow user group, and kind of going to SharePoint Saturdays and working the circuit like that. And then eventually was renominated in the Biz Apps category, and yeah, kind of got it from there. Got some support from some of the other Flow and Power Apps MVPs. So it was great. I was truly shocked.
Let's name some names. Who put you up for nomination, and who did you get the support from?
I don't actually know who put me up for nomination, but I know I had a lot of support from Melissa Hubbard. She was great. She kind of mentored me. I was asking her questions how should I put in this, contribution and stuff like that. And yeah, so she was a big one. She's a big help, and Daniel Askowitz, and just yeah, a bunch of them.
So good, so good. So how would you see it? Like to see the future play out from kind of two angles. One, your career. How do you see it going in the future? And also the second part of that is then what do you see happening, or where do you see Power Apps going and Flow in the near and long term future?
Okay, well, I guess my future, I would love to just keep growing my business. If I could be a business owner and keep doing this consulting until the day I die, I'd be happy. So just keep going, growing going down that path, and getting to the opportunity to speak at these events and spread the word with these tools that I love using. That would be great. We're going to Power Apps and Flow. I just, obviously they're putting in a bunch of investment into that. There's just more features announced almost every day. And I'm really excited for the future of the tools. I don't think they're definitely not going away anytime soon. And they're just going to put more and more functionality in the tools. I love some of the AI stuff, that you can do with Power Apps and Flow. And I think that space is just going to keep increasing where we can truly automate anything. Yeah, I'm just really excited for the future.
Nice, nice. So let's just unpack that little bit around AI. So what are your thoughts on AI, and where do you really see it going? Is it going to impact our lives more?
I think so. I mean, I hope, and I don't think we'll have a Terminator type circumstance, but I think it's going to keep growing, especially the cognitive services side of things. So being able to, like I tested building a Power App where you could use facial recognition instead of requiring a username and password. Just stuff like little things like that, just to make your life, a little bit easier. I just see stuff like that being added and all the time.
So you say you're not worrying about Skynet or the Terminator scenario, and I would be in a similar camp. I think that we're going to see an increased level of intelligence, but not necessarily awareness, as in, or the technology increasing or becoming self-aware. So tell me, 5 years from now, how will AI affect your job?
I know a lot of people are probably scared that AI will, take their job away, but I don't really see it that way. I think there's always room. You need that human element in it, right? You need well someone to program it, someone to make it work with, for the business, for their needs. So yeah, I just think I feel like that'll kind of go hand in hand with the AI, and you still, like I said, you still need that human element. So. I think it'll open the door to more opportunity to build really cool solutions using that technology.
But do you think, like, your personal role, as in, do you think that we'll get to a point where potentially, so for example, even what you're developing software wise, do you see that ultimately that code or development could actually create more code, and if you like, develop itself? And as in, so what I'm thinking is that AI is based on rules, right? Algorithms are based on rules and patterns, and any form of software development is rules and patterns, at its core. So could we ultimately get to the point where AI could actually help us, build apps, write code, understand business models, and therefore, create, if you like, creative new ways of looking at them and developing technology?
Yeah, no, I think so, and that's exciting. Is using AI to help us be better programmers or better coders, and you're already kind of seeing it with the solution checker, like in Power Apps, being able to look through your code and say, hey, this might not be the best way to do this particular formula, and the different debugging elements and Visual Studio and all that. So yeah, I mean, I think we'll definitely get there, probably in the near future, really, instead of more of the far. And I'm kind of excited for that because I mean, anything like that is good and not bad to help us do better at our jobs.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So yeah, exciting time. So tell me about getting skilled, for someone that comes from a SQL slash SharePoint Power Apps development point of view. Are there enough training resources, etc., out there for somebody like with your skill sets to get up to speed in the CDS, common data model, common data service, and the model-driven side of things? Where do you kind of go for training to? And why I'm asking this question is because I've had feedback that a lot of SharePoint folks, for example, don't know, if you like, the path to take to kind of get skilled in that CDS model-driven side of things.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think there is, a ton of information out there. Whether it's the Microsoft documentation is a good place to start just to get a general, idea. But I mean, I usually go to YouTube, or, like video training subscription sites like Pearlsite. There's all kinds of information out there, and I learn best, by watching someone explain it to me and do it. So I mean, obviously Shane Young. I mean, he has anything you want to know Power Apps related. I think he has a video for it out there. So that's always a great resource. So I mean, I think there's I would like to see though. I get where those people are coming from, right? Like an actual path. Like, okay, here's and pointing you maybe to the resources that are already there. Like, here's what you need to know about CDS. Start here. Watch this video and this, and then like kind of advance you through the, almost kind of like I guess, an official course, right?
Would you say there's a gap there at the moment?
Yeah, at the moment, I think there is because there's not that outline. You can find if you know where to look, right? You can find videos and help documentations, but I haven't seen. There might be something out there like kind of an official guideline, an outline of where to start and learning that.
Yeah. That's valid. I suppose it's a question to ask Microsoft as well. So Microsoft Docs, I was just making a note there, just so in the show notes that people can link through those various resources. I had Pluralsight, Shane Young, YouTube, Power Apps would be a good query to run there, and then Microsoft Docs. Anything else you can think of?
Um, Not well. Yeah, no, not those. Those are my go-tos. Yeah.
Okay. The other thing I want to talk to you about is public speaking. Is there any kind of advice that you'd have to people to become effective at public speaking and talking on IT based topics?
Yeah, so for me, I'm a extreme introvert, so it took a lot of pushing from, coworkers and family to even get started speaking. I was terrified. I would have, panic attacks speaking. So I would say, but now I get feedback that I'm actually not half bad at this kind of thing. So I would just say, one, don't let, any kind of fear of public speaking or whatever, or thinking you're not good enough or imposter syndrome, whatever, stop you from going out there and speaking if you're knowledgeable on a topic or you have something to share. So that would be my biggest tip. And then, I kind of learn by immersion, right? Go to other topics, see how other speakers do, and find the ones that you like and kind of take some tips from what they're doing. Like, maybe, do you like showing slides? Is that helpful for you? Or do you like more hands-on? Just try to find your style, because every presenter has their own style. And then, try to make it personal. Don't go up there and be a robot. Just, if envision that you're talking to a group of friends and just sharing, something about a product or a topic that you really love,
Nice. So let's say you've got a user group event. Let's say it's a user group summit, Power App Summit, Power Platform Summit, something like that coming up. And you've got a 1 hour presentation to do on topic X. Tell me, how do you break down and pull together your structure, your framework, and then ultimately the content for that presentation?
I don't know about everyone else, but for me, I kind of start out with, okay, so if I'm doing a talk on, intro to Power Apps or something, I think of what are the top 3 or 4, what are the key things that when someone leaves, I want them to remember at least these 3 or 4 things, right? And I start with that, and I write those down, and then I build my content around that and keep reiterating those 3 or 4. Because, I think I was reading something, I think it was by Dax or someone had an article out there that, you only retain, I think, 60% right after the presentation of the information, and then like a week later, only 15%, right? So you really have to highlight those key things that you want people to remember from your presentation. And that's how I kind of start out building mine. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me then, what about your, what part does demo play in what you do, and what part does the actual PowerPoint presentation?
I know there's some people that are like, PowerPoint sucks, demo only, but I'm kind of in the middle. I feel like you need a PowerPoint for some things, because for those key metrics, I definitely don't do, PowerPoint only. And on some of my presentations, I've actually been using a Power App as the PowerPoint. I know like Sandy Ucia does that too. I try to just use the Power App or the PowerPoint for the key metrics, and then do everything else in demo. So anything that requires complex explanation, that needs to be a demo. Just highlight the key things that you want the user to retain in the PowerPoint.
Okay, that's awesome. And are you going to be speaking at the Power Platform event, user group event summit, and where is it, Florida?
Orlando. I don't know. They haven't. I did submit, so I guess we'll see.
You did submit?
Yep, I did. Yep.
Yeah, as I did. Now I hear you're into pub quizzes as well. Is that right?
Yeah, I love, trivia. Going to the local trivia night here at the pub.
Nice, nice. Because one of the topics I submitted was on doing a pub quiz style uh, thing with prizes, etc. For Summit. So let's see if that gets accepted, and perhaps we could co-lead it together or something.
That'd be great. I saw that, I think it was Sandy and John did that in Amsterdam, I believe, and that looked like that was a blast. So that would be great to have at that event. Yeah.
Yeah, I just like the idea of beer as part of it, and and of course prizes. Who doesn't want prizes? So I think
Yeah.
that's a
That'd be
cool
fun.
idea. Awesome. Okay, so a couple of wrap up questions because we've already burned through 25 minutes, and so just to end here, I always like some quick fire questions, just some random things. So first of all, best purchase under $100 that wasn't food or alcohol or drink.
Oh gosh, under $100. That's hard. Um, I don't know. I don't. Probably some shoes. I mean, I love shoes. So,
Okay, that's fair enough. Do you have a pair of red shoes?
yeah.
Yeah, of course, right. Yeah, my wife likes red shoes as well. It's yeah, they always look stylish. So, if you think of the word punchable, who comes to mind?
Oh man, I don't. I feel like I'll get in trouble with this one.
You won't get in trouble. Come on.
Okay, Donald Trump. Okay,
Woohoo!
sorry.
I love it. Do you know you're probably not the first person? I'm pretty sure I've had
I
others.
know, but
Yeah,
you
yeah.
risk alien, whatever. Okay,
Yeah. True. But who cares, right?
especially here in Oklahoma.
Is that right? He's got a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
supporters there.
big red state here. Yeah,
What motivates you?
I'm a learner. Just wanting to always improve myself and keep learning and never stagnate or be, yeah. That's probably it. Just the thirst for knowledge. That
Thirst for
sounds
knowledge.
cheesy, but
No, it's so good, as a lot of people don't have it, and I think it is important, particularly in the parallels of going to the AI area. The need to constantly learn is so important. Tell me, what's one thing on your bucket list that you haven't done yet?
oh man, I've actually done quite a bit of it. I mean, I would like to go skydiving. Yeah.
Awesome. Make sure you go for the highest skydive for your first one. Right,
know.
so I think
Yeah.
you can do a 10,000 foot and a 15,000 foot. Make sure you go for 15, because what happens, they reckon the first time you jump, your mind actually blanks for a period because it's just like it doesn't understand what happened, and so you don't want to miss half your free fall before your mind switches back on properly. So I recommend, and I've done a 1500. I recommend you do that. It's awesome.
Oh wow, I'll have to get some tips from you then. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. April, it's been awesome to have you on the show. Before you go, where can people kind of connect with you from a digital online perspective?
Yeah. So I have my blog, SharePointSiren.com or AprilDunnam.com. Either one works. And then I'm really active on Twitter, so you can find me on Twitter at April Dunnam.
Hey, thanks for listening. Today's episode marks the 100th episode that I've been producing over the past 2 years. I'd like to thank everyone who regularly listens and follows the different shows I produce: the MVP show, MVP Mondays, Dynamics 365 show, and the Power 365 show. The shows have come this far because of your support. I promise to provide more quality content in the future. If you're a new listener, I encourage you to watch and listen to the previous episodes of the podcast. And to everyone, please like and share the episode with your friends. One thing I've noticed, I've only had one comment or feedback on iTunes. Only one in 100 episodes. So please, if you like this content and you want me to do more, jump into iTunes and leave some feedback and review. Even if you're on Android, etc., I don't know if you can, but please leave an iTunes review. It is still the most prominent way of, if you like, elevating this show. As always, full show notes, please visit nz365guy.com/100. See you next week.